Age is not what makes a woman lose desire for a man. What kills desire is when a man forgets how to inhabit his own body. After 60, women are not looking for youth. They are looking for presence, and there are 5 quiet, often ignored body details that still awaken desire, long after time has passed. If you believe women no longer notice, you are deeply mistaken. Before we continue, comment below. Do you believe desire fades with age? And subscribe to the channel. You're part of this conversation now. A woman does not feel desire because a man is young. She feels desire because his body is inhabited. This is the truth most men are never taught, especially as they age. Somewhere after 50, many men begin to shrink themselves without noticing. Their shoulders curve inward, their steps become cautious, their movements lose intention. They speak as if apologizing for taking up time, space, or attention. None of this is conscious. It is not weakness. It is conditioning. And yet, the body remembers. After 60, attraction no longer comes from display. It comes from coherence. Women do not respond to effort. They respond to presence. They do not scan for perfection. They read for grounding. Before a word is spoken, before a smile forms, the body has already spoken. Presence is not charisma. It is not performance. It is not confidence as taught in self-help books. Presence is the quiet decision to fully occupy your own physical existence without asking permission. When a man walks into a room and truly inhabits his body, something subtle happens. He is not loud. He is not dominant in the superficial sense. He does not need to assert himself. He simply exists without retreat. His feet land fully on the ground. His breath is slow and deep. His movements are economical. Nothing about him rushes. Nothing about him withdraws. This is the body women notice, not because it demands attention, but because it creates contrast. Desire is born in contrast. Inspired by Esther Perel's work, desire requires distance, polarity, and tension. It does not thrive in fusion, approval-seeking, or emotional collapse. The body that occupies space creates polarity simply by being rooted. Many men believe attraction fades because their bodies change. The truth is harsher and more liberating. Attraction fades when a man stops trusting his own physical authority. Authority does not mean control over others. It means self-possession. A man who is self-possessed does not fidget excessively. He does not over-explain. He does not lean forward aggressively, nor does he lean away in retreat. His posture communicates that he belongs where he is. His spine is upright, not rigid. His chest is open, not puffed. His head is level, not tilted in search of approval. Women are exquisitely sensitive to these cues, especially with age. Youth forgives incoherence. Maturity does not. After 60, women are no longer seduced by potential. They are drawn to reality. The body becomes the evidence. This is why some men become more attractive with age, while others disappear socially and romantically. It is not about looks. It is about occupancy. Some men retreat from their bodies as if apologizing for time. Others settle into themselves like land they finally own. Presence begins with breath. A shallow breath signals anxiety, urgency, or fear of taking space. A slow breath signals safety. When a man breathes deeply and calmly, his nervous system communicates regulation. Women feel this immediately. It tells her, without words, that he is not overwhelmed by himself, by her, or by the moment. Regulated men are attractive because they create a field of calm. Desire does not grow in chaos. It grows where there is containment. The second signal is stillness. Stillness is often misunderstood as passivity. In reality, stillness is a form of dominance. Not dominance over others, but dominance over impulse. A man who can remain still without becoming tense communicates inner authority. He does not need to fill silence. He does not chase reactions. He allows moments to unfold. This is deeply erotic to the feminine psyche. Stillness says, I am not afraid of what might happen next. Movement, when it happens, becomes meaningful. A simple shift of posture, a deliberate step forward, a slow turn of the head. These movements land because they emerge from stillness, not nervous energy. Many men after 60 unconsciously adopt what could be called the polite body. They minimize their gestures. They soften their tone excessively. They over-smile. They shrink their presence in an attempt to be likable, harmless, or non-threatening. Ironically, this kills desire. Desire does not respond to harmlessness. It responds to groundedness. A woman does not want to be dominated. She wants to feel met by a man who is not disappearing in front of her. The body that occupies space does not invade. It does not hover. It simply remains. Another critical element is pace. Men who rush communicate anxiety. Men who hesitate excessively communicate doubt. The attractive pace is unhurried and intentional. When a man moves at his own rhythm, rather than reacting to the environment, he becomes magnetic. His timing feels self-led. This is particularly powerful after 60, when cultural narratives try to push men into either invisibility or caricature. The man who refuses both extremes and simply moves with calm certainty stands out immediately. Women feel safe around men who are not chasing outcomes. Safety, in this context, is not softness, it is predictability of self. A woman can sense when a man is at war with his own body. She can feel when he is uncomfortable with his age, his presence, his desire, or his limitations. That discomfort transmits tension, not desire. The man who has made peace with his body becomes desirable because he is no longer negotiating with reality. This peace is visible in how he sits. He does not perch at the edge of the chair. He does not sprawl excessively. He places himself fully, as if the space is meant for him. His hands rest naturally. His legs are grounded. His torso remains open. Even silence changes in his presence. One of the most misunderstood aspects of masculine presence is that it does not seek validation. When a man's body is self-contained, his interactions stop feeling transactional. He is not looking for confirmation that he is still desirable. He is not scanning for reassurance. He is simply available. Availability without need is intoxicating. Women over 60, especially those emotionally mature, are deeply attuned to this distinction. They have experienced men who wanted something from them: attention, youth, validation, caretaking, emotional regulation. They recognize it instantly. The man who wants nothing but connection feels radically different. Connection requires presence. Presence requires embodiment. There is also the matter of direction. A body that occupies space has direction, even in stillness. The eyes are steady. The head does not dart constantly. The body orients itself naturally toward what matters. This creates a sense of internal compass. Desire follows direction. A man without direction feels diffuse. A man with direction feels anchored. Even if that direction is quiet, even if it is simply a grounded sense of self, it communicates leadership at the most fundamental level. This is why presence cannot be faked. It is not a technique. It is a decision repeated daily, to live inside your body rather than above it or outside it. Men who reclaim their physical presence after 60 often report a shift not only in how women respond to them, but in how they experience life. Food tastes richer, music lands deeper, silence feels fuller. Their bodies stop feeling like burdens and start feeling like instruments. Women notice this aliveness immediately. Desire is drawn to life. The final element of presence is ownership. Not ownership of others, but ownership of self. The man who owns his age, his history, his scars, and his limitations stands taller without trying. His body relaxes because it no longer needs to defend an illusion. This ownership creates erotic gravity. Women are not aroused by men who are trying to be younger. They are drawn to men who are fully here. Now, in themselves, presence is not loud. It does not announce itself. But once felt, it is unmistakable. The first thing a woman notices is not your face. It is not your fitness. It is not your clothes. It is the space you are able to hold without collapsing or invading. That space is your body, fully inhabited. And this is only the beginning. Where intention lives, before a man ever touches a woman, she already knows how it would feel. She knows it by watching his hands. Hands are one of the most honest parts of the male body. They reveal what the mouth hides and what the posture tries to control. Hands expose intention, hesitation, confidence, fear, and restraint. After 60, when words lose their persuasive power, hands speak even louder. Women read hands instinctively, not romantically at first, but neurologically. The hands tell her whether a man is present with himself or disconnected, whether he leads his own life or reacts to it, whether he knows how to hold or only how to reach. There are hands that apologize. There are hands that hesitate. There are hands that grasp, and there are hands that rest. Only one of these awakens desire. The attractive hands are not aggressive. They are not theatrical. They are not performative. They are grounded. They move with clarity. They do not rush toward contact, nor do they retreat from it. They exist comfortably in their own weight. A man's hands reveal whether he lives inside his body or merely uses it. Many men, as they age, unconsciously disconnect from their hands. They keep them busy. They fidget. They hide them in pockets. They clasp them nervously. They use them excessively while speaking, as if trying to convince rather than embody. This creates a subtle impression of inner instability. Women feel this immediately, not as judgment, but as information. Hands that are restless signal a man who is unsettled with himself. A man who is unsettled with himself cannot lead desire. Desire requires trust. Trust begins with steadiness. Steady hands communicate a regulated nervous system. They say, I am here. I am not overwhelmed. I am not rushing you. I am not trying to take anything from you. This is deeply calming and paradoxically deeply arousing. Inspired by Esther Perel's understanding of eroticism, desire needs containment. Without containment, energy leaks into anxiety. Hands are one of the clearest markers of containment in a man. Consider how a man places his hands when he sits. Do they land naturally on his thighs or the armrest, relaxed and open, or do they grip, fold tightly, or disappear? The former signals ownership of space. The latter signals retreat. Ownership of space through the hands is not dominance. It is permission granted to oneself. A man who gives himself permission to exist fully does not rush his gestures. When he reaches for a glass, he does not snatch it. When he gestures while speaking, his movements are deliberate, not frantic. When he touches an object, he does so with awareness. Women notice this because awareness is erotic. Awareness signals presence. Presence signals safety. Safety allows desire to emerge without defense. Another key element is restraint. Restraint is not repression. It is choice. Hands that know restraint do not reach unnecessarily. They do not invade personal space prematurely. They wait. They allow anticipation to build. They trust timing. Many men believe attraction is created by action. In reality, attraction is often created by the space between actions. The pause before movement, the moment of stillness where possibility lives. Hands that can wait create tension without force. This is especially potent after 60 years, when a man no longer needs to prove virility through constant pursuit. The hands of a mature man can communicate desire through what they do not do. A light adjustment of a sleeve, a slow placement of the hand on a table, a relaxed openness of the fingers. These gestures speak of confidence that does not beg. Women are acutely sensitive to whether a man's touch would feel grounding or consuming. Hands that are grounded promise an experience of being held, not taken, of being met, not claimed. There is also the matter of direction. Hands with direction do not wander aimlessly. They move toward purpose. Even when idle, they feel purposeful. This suggests a man who has direction in life, or at least direction within himself. Direction is attractive because it reduces uncertainty. Desire does not flourish in chaos. It flourishes where there is orientation. A man whose hands reflect inner direction does not need to dominate physically. His body already communicates leadership. Leadership here does not mean control. It means capacity. The capacity to hold emotion, the capacity to tolerate tension, the capacity to remain present without collapsing. Women are not aroused by force. They are aroused by capacity. Another subtle but powerful element is how a man's hands respond to emotion. When a conversation deepens, do his hands tighten? Do they become rigid? Or do they remain relaxed, signaling that he can stay present even when vulnerability enters the room? Hands that tense under emotion signal a man who is uncomfortable with intimacy. Hands that remain open signal emotional strength. Strength is not loud, it is resilient. Men who cultivate this quality often do so unintentionally through life experience. Loss, responsibility, failure, and growth refine the hands. They teach a man how to hold life without gripping it. This refinement becomes visible. Women over 60 are, particularly those with emotional maturity, are drawn to this quality because they have experienced the opposite. They have been touched by men whose hands wanted something: attention, reassurance, control, escape. They recognize the difference instantly. The hands of a man who wants nothing but presence feel entirely different. It is important to understand that erotic hands are not about touch itself. They are about the promise of touch, the implication of how touch would feel if it happened. Hands that live in intention create anticipation. Anticipation is the heartbeat of desire. This is why even small gestures matter. How a man hands someone an object, how he opens a door, how he adjusts his environment. These actions reveal whether he moves through the world with care or compulsion. Care is not softness, it is attention. Attention is erotic. The man who reclaims his hands reclaims his ability to direct energy. His life begins to feel more deliberate. His movements align with his values. His body stops leaking tension through unconscious gestures. Women notice this alignment without knowing why. They simply feel more present around him, more grounded, more open. This is the power of hands that know where they belong. Before any touch ever happens, the body has already decided, and the hands told the story. The next chapter explores another silent signal that shapes desire even more profoundly: the gaze, emotional authority. Before a woman decides whether she feels desire for a man, she decides whether she feels safe being seen by him. That decision happens in the eyes. The gaze is not about intensity. It is not about staring. It is not about confidence in the performative sense. The masculine gaze that awakens desire after 60 is calm, anchored, and emotionally sovereign. It does not hunt, it does not plead, it does not disappear, it holds. Many men misunderstand eye contact. They believe looking longer creates attraction. In reality, it often creates pressure. Desire does not grow under pressure. It grows where there is space. A grounded gaze offers space. The eyes of a man who inhabits his body do not dart. They do not scan nervously. They do not search for approval or reassurance. They rest where they land. They meet a woman without urgency and without withdrawal. This creates a subtle but powerful message. I am comfortable seeing you, and I am comfortable being seen. After 60, this matters more than any physical attribute. Women are not responding to the eyes themselves. They are responding to what the eyes reveal about the man's inner relationship with himself. A steady gaze signals emotional authority, not dominance over others, but authority over one's internal world. Emotional authority means a man can feel without becoming overwhelmed. He can witness emotion without trying to fix it. He can remain present without collapsing into insecurity or inflating into performance. Women feel this instantly. A man who cannot hold his own gaze often cannot hold emotional tension. His eyes look away too quickly, or they linger with an edge of need. Both signal instability. One withdraws from connection. The other tries to consume it. Neither creates desire. Desire is born where there is balance. Inspired by Esther Perel's understanding of erotic polarity, desire requires separateness. The gaze that awakens desire does not merge. It does not fuse. It acknowledges the other while remaining rooted in self. This is why the mature masculine gaze feels different from the youthful one. Youthful eyes often carry hunger. Hunger wants something. Hunger looks for fulfillment outside itself. The mature gaze carries direction. Direction does not need to rush. It does not need to convince. It simply exists. The eyes of a man with direction communicate that he knows who he is, even if he is still evolving. Women trust direction more than certainty. Certainty can be rigid. Direction is alive. Another essential element of the erotic gaze is permission. The eyes of a grounded man give permission for the moment to unfold. They do not rush intimacy. They do not push escalation. They allow curiosity to breathe. This permission is deeply seductive. Many men, especially after years of rejection or cultural invisibility, either overcompensate with intensity or withdraw into neutrality. Both extremes break polarity. The attractive gaze lives in the middle. It is present but not invasive, interested but not needy, calm but not passive. This balance communicates confidence without demand. Women feel safe being desired by a man whose gaze does not try to take something from them. Desire feels different when it is offered rather than extracted. The gaze also reveals how a man handles power. Men who are uncomfortable with their own desire often look away when attraction arises. Their eyes drop. Their gaze becomes apologetic. This signals shame around wanting. Shame dissolves desire. Other men overcompensate by staring too long, trying to assert masculinity through intensity. This signals insecurity disguised as strength. Women feel this immediately and often respond by guarding themselves. The gaze that awakens desire neither hides nor invades. It acknowledges attraction without making it a demand. Another layer of the gaze is emotional steadiness. When a conversation deepens, when vulnerability appears, when silence stretches, the eyes of a grounded man remain calm. They do not flicker with panic. They do not search for escape. This tells a woman that he can remain present even when things are not light or easy. Presence in discomfort is erotic. It signals maturity. It signals capacity. It signals that intimacy will not overwhelm him. Women who have lived, loved, lost, and healed recognize this immediately. They are no longer impressed by charm. They are drawn to steadiness. The gaze is also where boundaries live. A man with emotional authority does not allow his gaze to wander indiscriminately. He is selective. His attention is intentional. This creates value. Desire intensifies where attention is not cheap. Selective attention is not manipulation. It is self-respect. Women feel the difference between a man who looks at everyone the same way and a man whose gaze carries discernment. Discernment communicates depth. Depth is erotic. There is also the question of timing. The attractive gaze does not rush to lock in eye contact, nor does it avoid it. It meets, releases, and returns naturally. This rhythm creates a dance rather than a stare. Desire is rhythmic. Men who understand this intuitively create a feeling of flow. Their gaze enters and exits connection without friction. This feels alive, dynamic, and safe. Another overlooked aspect is softness. Softness does not mean weakness. It means emotional availability. A man whose gaze carries softness without collapsing communicates strength that is not armored. Armor repels desire. Soft strength invites it. The eyes of a man who has made peace with himself often carry this softness. They have seen enough of life to no longer need to dominate it. This quiet humility is deeply attractive. Women are not aroused by men who look above them or through them. They are drawn to men who see them. Seeing is not analyzing. It is not judging. It is presence without agenda. The man who can truly see a woman without needing her to become something for him creates a rare emotional experience. That experience opens the door to desire. After 60, this kind of gaze becomes more potent, not less. The years refine it. Experience tempers it. Pain deepens it. Growth stabilizes it. Men who lean into this evolution often discover that women respond to them differently than they ever did in youth. Conversations deepen faster. Silences feel richer. Attraction becomes quieter but stronger. This is the power of emotional authority expressed through the eyes. Women are not aroused by men who look too much. They are aroused by men who can hold. And the gaze that holds does not seek permission. It simply is. The next chapter explores how this authority becomes audible and embodied through voice and rhythm. Voice and bodily rhythm. Long before words carry meaning, rhythm carries truth. A woman does not respond to what a man says as much as to how his body moves time, his pace, his pauses, his breath between sentences, his willingness to let silence exist without rushing to fill it. After 60, voice becomes one of the most powerful carriers of desire, not because it is seductive in tone, but because it reveals inner regulation. A regulated voice signals a regulated man, and a regulated man creates a field where desire can emerge without defense. Most men underestimate this. They focus on content, on saying the right thing, on finding clever phrasing, on proving intelligence or relevance. Meanwhile, their voice reveals anxiety, urgency, or emotional hunger. Women hear this immediately. A rushed voice signals insecurity. A voice that climbs at the end of every sentence asks for approval. A voice that fills every silence fears being forgotten. None of these create attraction. The voice that awakens desire is calm, grounded, and unhurried. It does not compete with noise. It does not chase attention. It allows words to land and rest. This is not about speaking slowly. It is about speaking from the body rather than from the head. A voice rooted in the body carries weight. It resonates rather than pushes. Resonance is felt, not processed. Women respond to resonance because it communicates presence. Presence creates safety. Safety allows curiosity. Curiosity opens the door to desire. Inspired by Esther Perel's understanding of erotic energy, desire requires tension. Tension cannot exist where everything is rushed or explained. Tension needs space. The masculine voice that understands rhythm creates that space naturally. Silence becomes an ally rather than an enemy. Many men are uncomfortable with silence. They interpret it as rejection or disinterest. They rush to fill it with words, jokes, explanations, or questions. In doing so, they break polarity. Silence is not emptiness. It is potential. A man who can remain grounded in silence communicates confidence without effort. He shows that he is not dependent on constant stimulation to feel alive or connected. This is deeply attractive. The rhythm of movement also plays a crucial role. How a man shifts his weight, how he turns his head, how he reaches for an object. These movements carry timing. Timing communicates leadership. Leadership here is not control over others. It is self-leadership. A man who moves at his own rhythm is not pulled by the environment. He responds rather than reacts. Reaction is anxious. Response is grounded. Women feel this difference immediately. A man who responds moves when it feels right, not when pressure demands it. His body language remains coherent with his voice. There is no disconnect between what he says and how he moves. Coherence is erotic. Many men unknowingly create dissonance. Their words say calm, but their bodies say urgency. Their voice says interest, but their movements say fear. Women sense this contradiction instantly. Contradiction dissolves desire. The attractive masculine rhythm is consistent, not rigid, but aligned. His voice, breath, posture, and movement tell the same story. Another essential element is tempo. Men who rush intimacy often speak quickly, move quickly, and escalate quickly. This creates pressure. Pressure triggers defense. Defense kills desire. Men who hesitate excessively create doubt. Their tempo feels uncertain. Uncertainty does not inspire attraction. The sweet spot is intentional pacing. Intentional pacing communicates choice. It says, I am not being pushed by impulse or fear. I choose when to move, when to speak, and when to remain still. Choice is powerful. After 60, when a man embodies choice, his presence feels mature rather than desperate. Women respond to this maturity because it offers stability without stagnation. Another overlooked factor is volume. The erotic masculine voice does not need to be loud. Loudness often compensates for insecurity. A calm, steady volume draws attention without demanding it. Women lean in to hear a man who does not need to raise his voice. Leaning in is the physical manifestation of desire. Tone matters as well. A flat tone signals disengagement. An overly animated tone signals performance. The attractive tone is warm, grounded, and relaxed. Warmth does not mean softness. It means emotional availability without collapse. A man who can speak from this place feels emotionally safe without becoming emotionally dependent. This balance is rare and deeply appealing. Rhythm also shows how a man handles tension. When a conversation becomes charged, does he speed up? Does he joke it away? Does he retreat into logic? Or does he stay present, letting the energy build without forcing resolution? Men who can stay with tension without rushing to resolve it create erotic charge. Charge lives in the unresolved. This is why silence, when held confidently, can feel more intimate than words. It allows sensation to rise. It gives space for anticipation. Anticipation is the engine of desire. The man who understands rhythm understands timing. He knows when to speak and when to wait, when to move and when to remain still, when to lean in and when to hold space. This intuitive timing cannot be faked. It comes from embodiment, from living inside the body rather than narrating life from the mind. Men who reclaim this rhythm after 60 often notice a profound shift. Conversations slow down. Interactions feel richer. Women respond with more openness and curiosity, not because the man is trying harder, but because he is rushing less. Less urgency creates more magnetism. The masculine rhythm that awakens desire does not seek outcome. It enjoys process. It inhabits the moment fully, trusting that connection unfolds naturally. Trust is erotic. After 60, the body no longer negotiates with the truth. It reveals it. This is the final and most decisive detail women perceive in a man, whether his body and his inner world are aligned, whether what he feels, what he believes, and how he moves exist in the same direction, whether there is coherence or quiet inner conflict. Women may not name it consciously, but they feel it instantly. Coherence is when the body does not contradict the emotion, when the posture does not deny the voice, when the eyes do not betray what the mouth tries to hide, when desire is not at war with shame, when age is not resisted but inhabited. This is why some men become deeply attractive after 60, while others fade regardless of physical condition. The difference is not discipline, it is integration. A man who is integrated does not split himself. Many men live divided lives. Their bodies age, but their identity remains stuck in the past. They mourn youth, power, sexual certainty. Their bodies feel like evidence of loss rather than expressions of life. This internal resistance shows up everywhere. In stiffness, in guarded movement, in apologetic posture, in restrained desire. Women sense this fracture immediately. Desire does not move toward inner conflict. It moves toward wholeness. The man who becomes attractive later in life is the man who stops fighting reality. He does not try to reclaim youth. He claims presence. He does not deny desire. He owns it without desperation. He does not apologize for wanting connection, nor does he demand it. This ownership relaxes the body. Relaxation is not collapse, it is release of internal war. When a man's emotional world and physical presence are aligned, his body becomes grounded, his movements become honest, his voice becomes congruent, his gaze becomes steady. There is no need to perform masculinity because it is embodied. Women respond to this embodiment because it feels safe, real, and rare. Inspired by Esther Perel's insights, desire requires freedom and containment simultaneously. Coherence provides both. The man is free inside himself, and therefore contained. He is not leaking need, fear, or resentment. Leakage kills desire. A man leaking unresolved emotion through his body may appear calm on the surface, but women feel the tension underneath. The shoulders hold old anger. The jaw carries unspoken regret. The hands tighten around stories never processed. The body never forgets unresolved emotion. Coherence begins when a man allows himself to feel without dramatizing and without suppressing. He feels loss without collapsing. He feels desire without shame. He feels attraction without entitlement. This emotional maturity stabilizes the nervous system. A stabilized nervous system is erotic. Women feel calmer in the presence of a man who is emotionally self-contained, not closed, but regulated, not distant, but sovereign. Sovereignty is deeply attractive. Sovereign men do not need women to regulate them. They do not need validation to feel whole. They do not seek relationships to escape themselves. They seek connection to share life, not to be completed. Women over 60, especially those who have done emotional work, recognize this instantly. They have spent decades managing others' emotions. They are not interested in carrying another man's inner chaos. They are drawn to men whose bodies feel settled. Another critical element of coherence is truthfulness, not brutal honesty, but internal honesty. The man who knows what he wants, what he does not want, and what he can offer moves differently. His body reflects clarity. Clarity is attractive because it reduces confusion. Confusion forces vigilance. Vigilance blocks desire. A coherent man does not overpromise. He does not posture. He does not pretend to be someone he is not. His body does not strain to uphold an image. It rests in authenticity. Authenticity has weight. Women feel this weight as gravity, not pressure, but pull. This is why aging can become an advantage. The years strip illusion. They expose what is essential. Men who accept this stripping become more embodied, not less. Their bodies tell the truth of lived experience. Scars soften the gaze. Loss deepens presence. Failure humbles posture. Growth stabilizes movement. All of this creates erotic depth. Desire after 60 is no longer about fantasy. It is about resonance. A woman feels resonance when a man's body matches his story, when his movements make sense, when his desire feels clean. Clean desire does not manipulate, it does not consume, it does not need to be fed constantly. It exists without urgency. Urgency signals fear. Fear repels desire. The coherent man is not afraid of time. He's not afraid of aging. He is not afraid of wanting. He has integrated these realities into his identity. This integration shows in how he stands. He does not lean away from life. He meets it. Meeting life is erotic. There is also peace in coherence. Peace does not mean boredom. It means absence of internal resistance. This peace allows playfulness, curiosity, and sensuality to emerge naturally. Women feel more alive around men who are at peace with themselves. This aliveness is contagious. The final truth is simple and confronting. After 60, the body tells the whole story. There is no hiding behind performance, charm, or strategy. And that is precisely why desire can become deeper than ever, because depth replaces display, presence replaces pursuit, truth replaces illusion. Women are not aroused by men who try to be younger. They are drawn to men who are fully here. Now,